Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, well, I've came up with something interesting that I think you guys might enjoy. So, today I'm going to show you a little bit of my process for being a dungeon master in my D&D 3.5 game that I'm currently running. Now, I'm shooting this video on October 17th, almost October 18th. It's just about midnight, about 6 minutes till. I will be scheduling this video to come out on the 1st of February 2021. Right now it's 2020. So this will give this will be a bit dated, which is good because my players are still in this dungeon, they're still exploring it. If they happen to be watching it, hopefully by the time this video airs, this will be old news and it's not going to be giving too much away. So hopefully that's the case. If not, they may get something if they just didn't explore enough. So let's get right to that. Sweet, the camera is working. All right, so let's get to our game. All right, so close that up. So this is the map from what I see. It's huge. It's absolutely a massive map. I have not finished building it. That's the turn order. Currently, there are a ton of things on the initiative. Normally, it's not always this long because I only put the active battles in, but my players kind of triggered a ton of them last week. So, yeah, that's what it looks like, all zoomed out. Now, this is the zoom in I usually keep it at. So this is where they came from. That's the bottom of the stairs. There's the top of the stairs. They're heading down. This is just the the current layer we're on. So in this room, they've been in this room a long time ago. The golems, basically, they moved to block the door to keep anyone from getting through whatever path. They successfully blocked this one off. Parties made several attempts to get through this, well, half-hearted attempts. They haven't seriously tried, or else they would have. But their half-hearted attempts have all failed. Right now we got this huge earth elemental trying to take down the golems. He might take down this guy, but there's no way he's taking down all three. I mean, look, he's already half dead. Then this room was another one that they already did. It's an interesting one. So basically it's just a room, Whale of the Banshee trap. Anytime somebody walks over one of the lines, any non-devils in the room will get hit with Whale of the Banshee that's inside the circle. So lots of that going off. Pretty nasty trap. My players are like 23rd, 24th level, so that kind of explains that. Let's stick with the rooms that my players have actually explored. So here's a chess room board. Basically, anytime they take the sides take turns. Anytime one of these guys has a move, they'll take it and they'll capture a piece and send them way, way back to the beginning of the dungeon, which it'll actually send them back to this room here. The front gate's technically outside the dungeon. So they'll take it back to there or the second entrance on the other side. It's kind of a symmetrical thing. They all move, so the entrances move towards here. I have it kind of geographically centered for that part. Then after the central room, it drops down to here, moves kind of linearly up to here, all the way to here, and then you eventually get to the floor my players are on. So that one's pretty nasty. This one's a similar trap. It's just this blue section at the well, sorry, I didn't finish the chess one. There's no way to take pieces. It's just if you happen to move in this square that whoever's turn it is, you'll get taken. They'll also take each other if that ever comes up. The players have mostly stayed out of this room. So then we have this room. It's just a teleportation circle where the destination will take you to a switch on the first floor, which is just which isn't too far away. It's just a little bit outside of here. This takes you up to a glitter. This room just had a couple of devils with some glitter dust traps. Nothing serious. Just if you any invisible, any players that were invisible wouldn't be, and that would stick until they got rid of it, or at least for a few minutes, which is quite a long time. Then in this room, just a big, massive tornado going on. a few golems, Hellfire Engine. This room's actually already taken care of. They've already beat all the rooms I've shown so far. This room's an interesting one. This one was actually designed to beat one of my players, Grizz. He's been mentioned in my videos on this. This is the same campaign as the one from that series. Basically, this room, it's difficult terrain, half movement, 4 spikes on the floor, 5 points of damage per 5 feet of movement that you move along the floor. Hurricane wind, force winds pointing straight down. Image of most hurt intruder, which is a most hurt player, with largest group of intruders. So basically it goes by how many of my players are together, and then it'll go whoever has the least health. The lowest HP. Not necessarily most hurt, it's whoever has the lowest HP. Teleport circle teleports to intruder shown in circle. So figuring out who's most hurt, that's a weird. That's actually kind of weird to figure out. This room, it's literally just a maze with all the blue squares, which are dead ends, teleporting you to a maze. You get hit with maze anytime you hit a dead end. So it's literally mazes inside a maze. Let's go back this way. So this room, it has an energy drain trap, which that one's just out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. So basically anybody with True Seeing gets hit with energy drain. Most of my players that actually have that, it's very unlikely it'll work because they have very high defenses, and the energy drain trap, it does have an attack roll for against a touch AC, and then also on top of that, there's a will save. It's pretty nasty if you get hit with that, though. This way, my players they were avoiding. That's why one of them marked that. But now they're thinking of coming back because they think that this is the way down. It's not. So they've seen this room. It's a pretty nasty room. Anti-magic field. Also dimension lock. They haven't figured that much out yet, though. They probably will by the time this video comes up, though, because it's got like 4 months. So yeah, they'll probably figure it out by then. I've got quite a few sessions to run with them, although it really depends on what they do. Then in here, this room, it's pretty straightforward. It's just 8 pit fiends and 2 iron golems. Pretty nasty room, in all honesty. It does lead to a dead end, but it's a rest area. So there's a book on a table. They've had run-ins with Bocob before, so if they just say Bocob, basically the book will there'll be a piece of paper that'll say who the greatest god is, and if they say Bocob, then they get all their spell slots restored. So pretty nice, but they have to say that. They only get 1 chance. It's not first, so if one of them gets it, then the others can take advantage. But I'm kind of being nice because they're kind of getting wrecked in a lot of ways. Some of these rooms are pretty nasty. So anyways, let's go back to this room. So this room is just a room with silence. There are a few devils in here, but the party already took them all. Also an iron golem. So then in this room, I'm using Roll20 if you couldn't tell. This room, it's a scary button room. Basically, I have a player trapped in there right now. Basically, there's a button on a pedestal. You're trapped inside the room, and if you hit the button, ominous things start happening. It seems like you're going to die if you keep holding it, but in actuality, nothing happens, and you're free if you keep holding it for a full minute. If the whole party went in at once, it would be a pretty quick one. But when one player gets trapped there, they're kind of stuck there for like a couple sessions, considering a minute's really long in terms of combat, and the rest of the party's exploring. This room, I originally was going to have Suffer Fume with 3-round delay, but I kind of forgot to do it, so basically it ended up just being a room with some golems and a pit fiend. I'll have to revisit that one. So let's continue down. Let's continue down this way. So here's a fun room. This room, it originally had. This room was just an easy one. This room literally was just a bearded devil. Not much of a fight at all. This room, it originally had a bearded devil plus these 2 iron golems. So this room, the bearded devil would run through when the players walk in, and then the golems would move to block the door. They did. The players eventually took out the golems, and yeah. Now the reason for that was because of this room, and this room was identical, except they went to this one second, and there's already a golem. That's a pass hole one of my players made after the fact. Now this room was crazy. So this room, this was in a dwarven city, so there were a ton of dwarves that were all here taken hostage, and all the devils in the room were saying, told the players when they walked in, drop your weapons, surrender, and drop your weapons, surrender, and come towards us, or we kill the hostages. The players started to comply. My players ended up coming up with a plan, and it worked, except for like half the hostages ended up dying. So yeah, and as I said, this room was basically identical, except for they hit it second, so it didn't behave quite the same. It ended up just being kind of a straight up fight. This room had a wall of thorns that were somewhat fireproof. At least they couldn't burn away from it. They just set on fire but never actually withered away. And there's a Hellfire Engine that could breathe fire at everything. And it was set so he could hit everything. Same with the one in the other room. He was also able to hit everything. This one, it's another one of those scary button ones. Another player is currently trapped in there. Actually, the cohort of the guy in the other room. So that player is, even though he's got a cohort, both his characters are stuck here. And this is just a summon. He's not doing much anything. This room was a nasty one. There were a lot more devils in it, but one of my players sent them away. Some of them died, which is why those are there to represent the corpses. But some of them were actually banished back to hell. So yeah, this room was another really easy one. It's literally just a big pitfall in the room. My players can actually see that now because, I mean, yeah. This room was nasty. So this room was a big, it basically was a room full of acid, just a bunch of acid. They take a ton of damage, like 10d6 for every round that they're submerged in it. And yeah, it's just a big room full of acid, like 20 feet deep. It's pretty nasty. There's also a bunch of Verinis flying over the room, and yeah, I've had a few players initially try and die because at an earlier stage they put a hole through the floor, which happened to lead towards into this room. And they decided instead of taking the stairs, they were just going to jump. So they ended up jumping right into the acid. So yeah, that room ended up being a lot nastier than it should have been. Let's head this way to try and keep with what my players have actually seen. So this room's a really simple room for the most part, although there is a little bit of a twist. All the room is poisoned. So basically it's a room full of a bunch of food, mostly meat and ale, and everything's poisoned. Now, the reason why I keep emphasizing meat is it is a specific kind of meat. And that kind of meat would be a meat known as dwarf. So, yeah, that's something we're going to get into in the next, in another room I'll show you here in a sec. So, this room here, this is the room where a lot, actually we'll move to this room since I kind of skipped this one. So this room was a fairly simple room. It was that seemed almost like a dead end. There's this is literally a nothing room. So this is actually a dead end. They just don't know it until they go in here and realize, oh, there's literally nothing here. Because they don't know, like, they know that this is there, but they don't really know how it's just this, because this is all invisible to them. So, maybe it's not, as you can see. But this room is just a room full of bearded devils. Lots of them. There's quite a few of them, but it's not much of a challenge. They're pretty low CR compared to the party. Now this room is a nasty one. My party is going all out trying to deal with this room. So this room, there are 6 bards, all casting, all performing Inspire Courage. One One of them just doing the standard for a +6. He has a bonus to get an extra one. So, and the other ones are doing Dragonfire Inspiration. Each one with a different Dragonfire Inspiration to effectively every single attack of every enemy in this room is getting a +6 to attack and damage. Also 66 fire, 66 cold, 66 acid, 66 lightning, 66 sonic. So yeah, pretty nasty in terms of damage dealt. There were more summons. Most of those got taken out. There'll probably be more soon because I know Sylvester, the guy summoning it, he goes first in the initiative. So yeah, this room's I haven't finished building. I'm actually going to do that live on camera. Well, live, but I mean, this is a recording. You're not going to see this for like 4 months after I shoot it. 3.5, I guess. But still. So let's go down to this room. This is another one that they've seen. Basically, this room's just a room full of poop. Another bile. There was a bearded devil. He really hated his job because like his job was monitoring the golems who were taking care of this room. Kind of a crappy job, pun intended. Yeah, and then the golems, yeah, they just maintained the room, mostly shoveling poop. Anyways, so let's go to some rooms that my players haven't seen. So this room is sort of the bedroom. There's a lot of devils on beds in pairs. You can kind of guess what's going on there. I'm not going to go into detail on here. We're going to keep it somewhat family friendly. This room is where you get in. This is the kitchen. So you got all these butcher devils, not particularly strong. This room's more to set the mood than anything. And there's a bunch of dead dwarfs on cutting boards and on stoves, all being fried up. So yeah, this is when my players get to here. This is when they're going to realize that this meat is dwarf, because they don't know it's dwarf, but it is, and they'll probably figure it out quick. One of my players actually died in this room. They're trying to find his body right now, so they'll probably figure it out because his body is like right here on this slab, and yeah, let's actually move him to the token layer, and yeah, they can't see it; it's still invisible, and basically they're going to see him. His dead body in there at some point, getting chopped up, possibly dismembered. Hard to say. But yeah, this room is really to show just how vile devils are. Because they are vile creatures. So let's go to some other rooms that the players have not seen and might not see because they weren't really heading in that direction. Now, this room's an interesting one. This room actually encompasses every part of the dungeon up to this one. So basically, you have the Iron Golem, you have Beholder. They're representing a Colossus that they fought earlier, except they're a lot weaker than the Colossus. But it's basically a dumbed-down version. He has an anti-magic field. This guy's got that sort of, except for, he's got it as a cone, not as an aura. And yeah. Then we also earlier had a giant, which I just changed to a horn devil, dumbed it down a little with a beholder. The beholder was buffed up. This one's just normal. Let's see. They also fought an adamantine and a mithril golem. Actually, 2 of them each, but I just gave them 2 iron golems instead for that. They also fought a bunch of, like 100 zombies, 100 skeletons. I just did 10 of each. They fought like 18 dread wraiths, I think, so I did 3. They also fought some lava wraiths and winter wraiths, some epic monsters. I had like 3 each of those, and then they had the Shape of Fire and Shadow of the Void. as well. So instead of that, I just did one lava rite and one winter rite, no Shadow of the Void. And basically just kind of threw them all into one room. Because those were, and also they fought some earth elementals, so I gave them one earth elemental. There's also a summoner. They ended up taking her captive. She was here last I saw. She's not actually there. The enemies have recaptured her. They don't know that, though. They left her alone for a long time, so now the enemies have taken her back. So, yeah, Hardy does not get to know that. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, this room is just a room full of arenas. It's a complete dead end. They'll see that as soon as they walk in, but when they do, the arenas are all going to chase after them and follow them. So, yeah. This room's a fairly simple one. It's just sticky floor, half movement, few bearded devils. Fairly simple, easy room. Now this one, which this is just north. This is literally the room right above the starting room, but the players haven't touched it, and they don't seem interested in going this way, which is funny because that's the exit right there and there. Like they're not far from. Like the exit's literally right here, just above that, just above the door. But this room's nasty. This room, it's the floor is literally lava. There's 5 platforms, a big one in the middle, these ones on the side where the Hellfire engines are standing. But the rest of the room is literally lava. You have hurricane force winds pointing straight down into the lava. And the Hellfire engines breathing their breath weapon at everyone. And it's spaced out so that every square will be hit by at least 1, probably 2 Hellfire engines. I think 2 at least. Usually some of places like 3. It's pretty nasty. I mean, they can only do it every 1d4 rounds, but like, still. This room, so the yellow is just where I mapped out where the boss fight, the boss level is. So it's over where all the yellow is. Players can't see that. That's hidden. But this room here, it's a small little room. Basically, there's a giant prismatic sphere in the middle of the room, and there's the 4 doors. And gravity changes every turn. So when people first walk in, I'll roll a d6, and that'll say which direction gravity is pointing. And yeah, I'll roll that at the start of every round, and people will have to scramble to figure out how to not crash into the prismatic sphere. That's going to be a fun, nasty room. Then I have this room here. So this room's an interesting one. So there's, 8 pit fiends and 2 iron golems, similar to that other room. But it's also an anti-magic field. So this room is really, really nasty. And if you actually dispel the anti-magic field in this room, that can cause some problems because if you do, there'll be a delayed blast fireball that's been changed to cold. Actually, quite a few of them. I think like 9. So they'll all go off. So it's a trap inside a trap. Something tells me my players are going to have a hard time dispelling that because it's hard to dispel an anti-magic field without magic. Yeah. Players haven't thought on that one yet. But yeah, technically it's possible. So I think that's all the rooms I've actually built. Where'd the rooms go? Okay. Oh, there's another scary button room there, except for that one has 2 buttons. Other than that, it's identical. I think that's it for what I've designed. So the entrances, there's 5 of them. My players may still be in this, then, so I don't want to go too much detail. But yeah. So this is a room my players are likely to go into. So let's build this right now, live. So this room is basically a servant's quarters. It's really nothing special with it. Actually, I don't need that. I'm just going to copy paste. So basically, all I do is I say, all right, well, this is a servant's quarters, so there's going to be some bearded devils, probably some marinis. They're the kind of the low tier bottom of the poll, guys. So, yeah. Let's throw in some arenas as well. Because this is just kind of their quarters. And we'll do another bearded devil. So these are basically like the butlers and the maids. But yeah, this room was nasty. So it's basically a concert going on, and then the devils were dancing on the floor. It was kind of cool. They were rocking out. But also, it's a just absolute nightmare of a room. Let's go to the map. Let's add a little flair to this. Nah, I don't want to give them that crappy of a bed. This will be fine. So let's give them all identical beds. Or maybe not identical. We'll give them similar beds. And I'll throw in one of these, because why not? And we'll do this one too. And none of them are facing the right way. This one's actually completely backwards. Bam. And we'll go to the objects and tokens layer. These guys are off duty, so they're just going to be asleep, I guess. It's going to be. Meanwhile, these three are actually working. And, you know, they take shifts, so when they're not working, they'll trade off with one of these four. Actually, you know what, let's go with another arenas. Yeah. We'll do another arenas. Perfect. So, yeah, I guess there'll be two shifts and they'll kind of switch. That makes sense. Yeah, so that'll be that room. So you got to see me build a room live, and it saves automatically since it automatically updates. So yeah, that's basically how you build. That's basically my process. So hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully this doesn't spoil too much for my players, because as I said, they haven't explored some of this yet, and there is going to be about 3.5 months between this and then, but there is a chance that they're still in this dungeon then. It is quite the long dungeon in all reality. So, yeah. They are taking a while to get through it. So we'll see. Hopefully they're haven't seen most of that. If not, then if they're watching the channel, they guess they can have a little bit of inside information. Although, if they're still there come February, I'll probably warn them, hey, don't watch too much of the video. You'll get spoilers for this dungeon. Because I talked about stuff and you still haven't seen it yet. Like, it's just been that long. But yeah, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you enjoyed watching to see kind of an inside look at how I do things as a dungeon master or DM. Maybe you learned some tips on how to use Roll20. That could be useful, especially now. Hope maybe things are better by the time this comes out. Hopefully that's the case, but it's hard to say at this point. It's really hard to say whether anything will have really changed by then. So yeah, but if things are still if the world still is crazy, then people still are forced to do everything online. Well, now you have seen a little bit more on how to work Roll20. Not a whole lot. I didn't build much in terms. You didn't get to see me build much for the dungeon. I didn't explain a whole lot, just that copy and paste is a thing. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a like. Definitely helps out. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Maybe ring the bell. And consider sharing the video. Help me get a little more exposure out there, more people, more eyeballs on this channel. And as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you